Okay, here we go with classwork 11, correlations. So this first page, I'm going to have you think about the relationships between different variables from a data set. Now the data set is available on Canvas. You can find it in this week's module. It is the one here that says intergroup.jasp. So I've already gone ahead and opened up a copy of that. So we can see here, this data set has a lot of variables in it. And so we can see age, gender, PL, birth, racial group, ed level, parent ed level, and so on. So the explanation of what all of those mean is right here. So that data set, age, gender, PL, birth, racial level, ed level, parent ed level, and so on. So these are the variables that are present in this data set here. So for each of these variables, there's a description of what it is. So for example, age in years. And what I'd like you to do is to think about each of these variables and then decide whether it is being measured in a way that is categorical or continuous in nature. So again, categories versus range of numbers. I want you to get really good at that. So age in years, gender, 1 equals female, 2 equals male. PL birth stands for place of birth, and it gives you the code 1 for the US, 2 for outside the US. Racial group, and then the codes for groups Asian, Black, Latino, and white. Oh, excuse me. Ed level, which is the highest education level that the person completed, from 1 being elementary school all the way up to 8 being graduate or professional education. The parent education level, so this would be, if you read carefully, it's the average of the highest education level for both of the parents. Here, interethnic social, which is the average of 4 questions. That brings me to a good point. So we talked before about using some clues like getting 1 equals female, 2 equals male as a clue to help you decide, is this a category or is it a range of values? Is it continuous? So here's another one of those types of clues. So when you see average of 4 questions, so let's take this question here. So average of 4 questions relating to experience socializing with people from diverse ethnicities. 1 equals never to 5 equals frequent. So this is saying that whoever responded to, I'm guessing this was a survey, they responded to 4 different questions that were related to their experience of socializing with people from other ethnicities, from diverse ethnicities. So they had 4 questions and they went from 1 to 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where 1 is never and 5 is frequent. So they asked them to answer these 4 questions. So for each one of these questions, they would have some number, right? Whether they said never, rarely, sometimes, often, frequently, right? If they give some rating, then they'll have some number between 1 and 5 for this question. They'll have another number between 1 and 5 for this one for this one, and 1 for this one, because it's saying it's the average of 4 questions. So that means this interethnic social that we see in our data set just here, 3, 3.25, 2.75, 3, 2.625, and so on, those are the averages of the 4 question responses, right? Because these 4 numbers. So when you see this average of something questions, that means that they're taking several different numbers, right? Let's say this was 3, 4, 2, and 4. We would add these up, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 divided by 4. Of course, I didn't do something nice and even. So what is that? 3.25. And this would be the score that is in there for their interethnic social. So it's averaging the responses to a set of questions. So look out for those. What would this be? Would this be continuous or would this be categorical? Is this a category or is this on a range of numbers? Okay, so that'll give you a little help there. Keep that in mind as you consider the rest of these. So read through and do your best to understand what these different variables are representing, what they are. Then for questions 1 through 4, these are the kind of questions where there's no right answer. I just really want you to think about the question, engage with the material. And so these 4 questions are all referring back to these variables, again, from our data set. So for example, which variables in the data set do you think would be the strongest predictors of being open to engaging in an interracial relationship? So again, there's no right answer for this, but you may look through and think about, what do you think from here? Which of these variables do you think may be related to that openness to engaging in an interracial romantic relationship? Okay. Numbers 2 and 3, I'm asking you to think about what the direction of a relationship between a couple variables might look like. So, and what the strength might look like. So I potentially want to see, do you think that that would be a positive relationship? Do you think it would be negative, or do you think there's no relationship? In terms of the strength, I'm talking about, do you think it's a weak relationship or a strong relationship or somewhere in the middle, right? So remember, positive, we'll see the points going generally up that way. Negative, we would see the points generally going down that way. And with no relationship, we would generally just see a big old mess. Okay. Weak and strong. Weak, because I'm asking you to roughly sketch what you think the scatter plot of this relationship might look like. Again, we don't know yet, so there's no right answer. I'm just asking for your opinions here. So again, do you think it's weak or strong? If it's weak, then we would see the data very spread out from the line. If you think it's a very strong relationship, you would see the points all very clustered together. Okay, so think about that for numbers 2 and 3. And number 4, one last question to ask or to think about there, and then I'll transition into doing the demonstration on JASP.